What's up, guys? Johnny Porter here. Today we're going to do some footage review. Watching armored MMA match. Abeid. I hope I pronounced that right. Abeid Mitchell versus Kyle Olson. I don't know Abeid. I'm not super familiar with him or his fighting style, where he's from. I suppose I could listen to the commentary and find out a little bit, but I'll turn the commentary off. I highly recommend, if you're going to watch and you're going to analyze a fight, turn off the crowd, turn off the commentary. It just is better that way. You get a much clearer kind of thought process. Kyle, I know relatively well. We met a couple of times, trained together. After this fight, I had the opportunity to get a little exhibition pro fighting with Kyle, really see what he's got. And he's not untalented at all. He's one of those guys who's, I would say, an up-and-comer. He has a lot of potential, especially for the lighter weight class, which, see, right now, he's 200 pounds. He should lose weight and drop down to 170. Well, 175, sorry, in our sport. Maybe 185, but he is surprisingly the heavier fighter. They said that he's 200 pounds, and Abeid is 195. Interesting. Okay, so 1 year experience versus 3 years, 31 years of age, fighting out of Philadelphia is Abeid Mitchell. Out of Missoula, Montana, Kyle Olson. Kyle's with the Sun Eaters, and Abeid, I think, has trained out of Texas with the Dallas Warlords before, but I'll find out later. I'm going to analyze this from an overall fight commentary and casting perspective. I'm going to give you my thoughts as a fighter, and then I'm going to kind of try to break it down according to the armored MMA rule set, and then how I view it in terms of if we were scoring this in a 10-9 must system. So if you don't know, armored MMA uses more of a point-based system where every significant or every good strike landed counts for 1 point if it's to the body, 2 points to the head, and I think takedowns are 3 points. There's a rules video, and maybe I'll link that in the description, or I'll put a link somewhere in this video for it so you can double check. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you one thing that I can tell. Abeid is rocking a heavier set of armor. So it's either stainless steel of some sort, thicker stainless steel too, because you got splints and rivets. Splints are a bunch of smaller pieces of metal that you then attach to leather. Ooh, big Superman punch right out the gate from Abeid. Huge flying Superman punch. And then he's just really working behind his Pavis, his long punch shield. Dropping the shield out and then hitting the low leg. Effective point scoring technique. And in this sort of fight, you can win just by being pretty far ahead on points and then coasting with good offense and defense. You don't have to deliver a whole lot of damage. You need to give a significant blow.
Teeth right to the center.
And those teeth are harder to see with those helmets on.
They are.
You do not have that full range of vision that you normally have. Yeah.
Kyle lands a good combo there. A little bit sloppy with the sword work, though. Hitting the shield both times instead of actually aiming for the head. And then Abeid, wild punch. You're not going to really land much on a good fighter that way. Kyle slides a shield punch straight down the middle. Sword blow to the leg and then a good kick. Stuffs the shield punch so it misses. Good sword work to the hip there. And then another good shield punch. And that's the first round. What a short first round. Exhibition fights are so fast, man. 1 minute is not much time at all. That's a tough one to judge too, because if you look at it in maybe the first 30 seconds, Abeid was pushing him back. He had that Superman punch, but it didn't land devastatingly. And then Kyle came back a little bit later on in the round. So it would be close depending on how many of those leg shots for Abeid you'd score. Because some of them were sloppy. They might even have landed flat. You need to align your blade so it lands edge on. If you're smacking somebody and slapping them with the flat, that's not a good point. That's not a good scoring shot. So, and then the same thing with these shield punches. Like if you see these shield punches coming in and they're like these loose, slapping, like flat shots that hit with the inside of the shield and don't really deliver concussive force or move the fighter at all, the opponent, or even affect their helmet or their posture and stance. Those aren't good blows, okay? So you got to look at the effectiveness of the shot. whether you're going to score it for a point, 2 points according to the AMMA system, or you're going to actually just judge the fight based on what was more effective, who's striking and who's grappling was more effective. So here we go, round 2. I will say that Abeid has a slight advantage in his shield. If they're just both going punch shields and not grappling that much, the longer shield's got that slight edge, and he's already a taller fighter. The one thing I say is he drops the shield hand down really low, and his elbow comes up high. Ooh, high kick attempt, misses. I would work the body if I were Kyle. I would be working his body with my sword and dropping those hip shots in, because as you can see, Abeid's shield, he just raises that shield arm when he starts to jab. His elbow flies out. Good combo from Kyle. Pushes him away. Once again, I would work the body more. Kyle's trying to headhunt a little bit with this guy who's throwing a lot of punches. Straight lead, only slightly connects. Good feint from Abeid, trying to set up some shots. Glance off. Kyle circles out. Little back elbow. Connects a little bit. Kyle tries to shake it off and say no, but it definitely connected a little bit. You can see both these fighters are feeling the fatigue. Good head movement at the end there by Kyle. Lands a long-range combo and then just slips the right-hand shield punch coming back at him. Respect both fighters. That's another tight round. You could say almost either one of them won that one. Just if we're looking at the entire round based on effective striking, I'm tempted to say Kyle has an edge here. He was landing more sword shots. He was putting in a little bit more work there. Abeid is throwing big kicks and he's trying to set up big shield punches. I could see if a judge thinks that those big shield punches are all landing well, depending on their point of view. Maybe they give him points for those, but a lot of those headshots, Kyle's just barely slipping them, or he's not really getting like fully connected with it all. You could tell they're both feeling the fatigue. So that's why these exhibition fights are short. It's tough to fight in armor against a game opponent. And even though both of these fighters are newer, they have combat sports experience, this is one of those arenas and this is one of those parts of the sport where until you get in there and you feel the resistance and the action of another human being in armor trying to stop you while you're doing stuff, it's like you don't understand exactly how hard it is. Here we go. Round 3. You could say it's a tight 1-1. I feel like Kyle probably got the first round and Abeid probably got the second round. It's close though. It could be either way on any of the scorecards. Abeid comes out heavy. Swings heavy too. Walks into a couple shield punches there. A little bit of a headbutt, unintentional. Kyle slips another punch. Lands a good one. 2 stiff shield jabs from Kyle. Kick. Barely kicks him out of the range of his own sword shot. There it is. There's that hip shot. I want to see more from, honestly, both of them at this point. Abeid could be dropping his sword shot into the head or into the leg a lot more effectively. He keeps coming down in this straight line, and a straight line down the middle is one of the worst sword shots to throw. They both exchange leg kicks and then shield jabs to the face. Classic. And then Kyle lands that hip shot. That's what I want to see. I want to see that hip shot. Solid falchion blow. Sword punch to the face. Abeid walks in with a shield punch and then a right hand. Abeid and Kyle both turn, tussle. Abeid with the overhook. Tried to go for a throw. That's time. That is time. Third round. Once again, close fight. This third round was the most significantly dominant. I would say Kyle easily won this third round. You just look at the shield punches Abeid walked right into. He maybe landed one of his own that was actually significant punch, where Kyle in this third round was landing 2, sometimes 3 shots in a row, hitting that shield jab, hip shot, shield, sword to the hip, sword to the leg. I would say both fighters should think that they did well, but in a really close fight where the first 2 rounds could go either way, I think Kyle pulled it out in the third round. We'll see what the judges think. They give it to Abeid. And this is one of those things where maybe if I would go through and watch this one more time and count all the blows, I would give it to Abeid too. But like, let's go back here real quick. So we're at the beginning of the third round, and we're going to kind of go through this quickly, because this third round to me was the easiest one to call. And so if we want, we can start to tally these. Missed from Abeid, missed from Abeid, landed from Kyle, landed from Kyle, good knee from Kyle, landed, landed, landed again, slight slip off. Abeid finally landed another hip shot, kick from Kyle, light sword shot, shield punch, shot to the hip, finally eats a combo from Abeid, good hip shot punch from Abeid. Not sure what the confusion was there. The ref said something probably. Abeid misses again, lands a leg kick, not a super effective one, lands another one. They trade shield jabs. Kyle lands 2 good hip blows, dodges that, lands another good shield punch, finally eats one, blocks a right hand. They tussle up. Abeid goes for that throw with the overhook, then a headbutt, and round 3, clearly Kyle, in my opinion. I don't know how to score that one any other way, whether you're going to judge it on effectiveness or points. Kyle landed far more blows. So let's step back then to round 2. And obviously, one thing I want to say here is this is not to make any disparaging marks against officials or judges. It's a thankless job to be a judge or referee. Marshals get no love and appreciation. Referees hardly do. So first and foremost, thank you to all officials who step in and help us fighters. I've been a judge, I've been a ref, and it's fun in a different way, but it's not fun when people are criticizing you. So I don't want anyone to think of this as tearing people down. I don't know the names of the judges, and I don't know the names of the people who scored this fight in particular, but you do want to think about this sort of stuff when you're going into a fight. It's like the optics of the people watching your fight matter. So with that said, let's kind of go back here again. We're going backwards to round 2 here. We're at the beginning of round 2. Let's go through it and really analyze some of these shots. And if we can, let's go ahead and count and see just who we think is getting more points. See, there's a leg kick from Abeid, followed by 2 sword shots from Kyle. Another sword shot, trade of shield punches. So far, relatively even. High kick misses from Abeid. Low shot, followed by a shield jab to the face. Then up combo, hip shot, shield punch from Kyle. Abeid misses a right hand, misses a shield punch. Kyle misses a sword combination. Swings high and low, misses both. Barely lands a shield jab from Kyle. Abeid feints. Abeid feints again. Abeid walks in with a shield punch, misses. Kyle circles out. Abeid lands a spinning elbow, but you could argue that Kyle stuffed it. They were so close together, there was hardly any power on that, and Kyle's shield was up. You could argue that spinning back elbow shouldn't count. And then at the end, Kyle dodges at least 3 punches. I'm going to say that round 2 actually might go to Kyle on rewatch. Round 2, Abeid was doing a lot of chasing and a lot of feinting, not a whole lot of landing shots. All right, let's go through round 1 again, and then let's just see. And again, you got to remember that the armored MMA system is each blow should be worth a certain amount of points. So assuming that you are landing more blows than your opponent to the right targeted areas, you should be winning those rounds. It's not the same as if you get 3 light jabs to the head and then the other person lands 1 big one and the effect is more damaging, like in a boxing or MMA fight. In armored MMA, the Nashville scoring system, it should be straight point based. Round one, Abeid goes for the Superman punch, barely lands, and then lands 2 shield jabs, a 3rd shield jab. So he's got like 3 or 4 shield punches in there on that round one. And then he gets a 5th and 6th. The 6th one lightly lands. Kyle finally lands a shield punch of his own, 2 sword shots to the hip. They both trade hip shots. Abeid walks in with another sword punch to the combo to the face, drops his sword low. Kyle tries to swing a couple of times with the sword high and then low twice, misses. Neither one of them have great combination work with their sword and shield. It's a lot of 1-2, one shot. Kyle finally lands a good combo there. Again, a little sloppy with the sword. We mentioned that before. He starts to try and walk Abeid down. Doesn't really land that hook. Blocks the low shot. Doesn't quite land his own. Then he does sink 1 shield jab into the face. Good kick to the body. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to score the kick to the body as. Abeid kind of misses. Another hip shot gets through for Kyle, and then a shield jab to the face. Okay. All right, so going back through, watching it again, I got to give a caveat. I think Armored MMA might have a rule about effective or really damaging punches that like rock someone or drive them back. Those might be worth more points. I'll need to double check. I should know these rules fighting in them. But I'll give Abeid round one. That was a clean round one for sure, and he started to fade. Round two looked close the first time we watched it, but when we went back and looked at it a second time, it wasn't that close. Kyle handily walked away with it, and then round three was clean. So was this a robbery? On the first watch through, we thought it was close enough to maybe see Abeid taking it in the first 2 rounds, losing the 3rd round, but watching it again, second time through, I definitely think Kyle won. No shame to either fighters. They both did really well. This was a good fight, hard fought. I would like to see more wrestling. They didn't bring it out until that very end of the 3rd round. I would have liked to see if one of the fighters could dominate the clinch, get inside, pummel someone, tilt with more of those overhooks and underhooks. See if you could win that inside battle with the knees, and your sword work has been a little bit even, you know what I mean? The long range sword work and shield punches are just kind of canceling each other out, and you're only winning based on who gets the slightly better timing in the exchange. I feel like one of the people in this fight, any one of them, could have dictated it by taking it to the other guy in a grapple or in the clinch. So that's one thing to say. Maybe the gas tank was the issue there. They didn't trust themselves to be able to keep fighting through it. But I think that the more these two fight, the more they're going to realize that they need to start integrating that into their game. So props to both fighters. Love what I'm seeing. And I think that we're going to have a bright future for these two. Hope to see them soon. Much love, y'all. Peace.